Alright guys, so today we're talking about the literary elements, and I figured that since we're really just focusing on the books and not necessarily reading them, I would kind of film it in this way, that way we can really see the pictures. So for this first one, I picked The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog for the use of lines. This is one of my favorite books, and I think I liked it so much because it was super simple in the illustrations. So when you kind of like look through it in general, the pigeon and the bird themselves are really simple and just made, extremely just out of lines. It also expresses motion in the way that the lines are shown and drawn. A few spots that's, the little bird flapping its wings. This one, he's getting mad at the other bird. So I really just, the simple drawings made out of lines, essentially, make the picture stand out. And it also, with the basic, sorry, that's my cat, let's just get her out of here. Little texture really adds to the plot of the story, I think. We see in the end, even here, the pigeon's getting mad. And the fact too that all of the text is very like boxy. Some books have very like curved ways of font and stuff. So yeah, that was my first one. I also noticed in this one we add some form and depth in with the shading, but other than that, it's a super simple illustration. All right, next line one. For the second one, I picked There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Shell. So all of the old lady books are super awesome. This one is really fun. The way I found all these books is my mom's a teacher and I rated her teacher book stash. So this book is super awesome with lines. You can see the texture in some of the pictures. All right. Her hair. We got some other stuff. You can see the ripples from the fish coming out. The texture that's added to the beach. I have super weird lighting in here, so if you see a glare, this one's super awesome. So like those are all just lines that the artist has used to make the darkness in there. Sorry, my cat sees somebody out the window and she's meowing. The use of lines in order to make the feathers. So the lines also add texture and depth. So if you're looking straight on at this, she uses the lines in order to add the depth to the bucket. Adding depth onto the fish's tail. Making it seem like light is coming, so it's hitting it. Yeah, that one's a really good one. This one I actually was like going to use for texture as well. But line did really well with it. Super interested. Okay, moving on to color. For my first one I picked I Like Myself. So when I was looking back through, the color doesn't necessarily express emotion in this book, but it really adds to the illustration in itself. So we see lots of color on each page actually. But the way that the color is set up, the different tints are adding the depth of the cactus, of the lamp. It's just, it's a very colorful book. All of them have pages, all of them have colors on pages. Even the background, like this one isn't a white background, it's kind of a peachy color. This is probably one of the only pages that has the white background. But this is so colorful already. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So we see the color used to add the depth for sure. And just the value of colors as well. All right, next one. All right, for the next one I chose The Good Egg. I will tell you this is my favorite book. I think every time I sub in a classroom, the kids want me to read this book at the end of the day. So I chose this one for color, actually for the fact that there's not a whole lot of colors. you know, we see kind of like the same, not necessarily super bright colors. They're all kind of toned down. And I think that really adds to the story, and the fact that it's not like crazy in your face. Yeah. They don't use a lot of color to add value. A lot of the stuff is very flat. Like, it seemed very flat. Like, even the eggs, they don't look round or anything. I also thought about using this one for a line, just because without the lines on his little head, you wouldn't be able to tell he was cracked. But yeah, colors are super cool. And I like the way they mix different colors to add texture onto some things. Granted, they don't look, because of the way the color has been added, it doesn't necessarily look like depth, more just a texture. So let's see if we can find some more in here. Just different color in here to create a different design. See, that one's adding depth. But yeah, that one's a really good book. Okay, on to my first value. All right, I picked the Icky Bug Alphabet book. I think this one uses tint and shade to add depth to the leaves really well. Nothing is super complicated in the shapes. They're all very basic. So let's see. This is so one of the leaves. They add so many different shades of color that it gives it a lot of value and depth. Yeah. The spider is made out of very simple shapes. See, this one was one of my favorite examples in here. This bug. So they're all kind of in the same color range, but just different tint. So it really adds different effects. The bugs, the way the grass is shaded differently to use different texture. Overall, this one had a really good value in a sense of like how it was colored. All right, next up. I picked First Aid Jitters. This still has my price tag on it. So this one used different shades of the same color to show depth and shape, also demonstrating form. The two work together to make the picture show depth very well. So even from the front page, you're able to see this. If it weren't for these different shades, you wouldn't really get the same effect of like the blanket being rolled up. Okay, enough, stop. We see it here as well in the sheets and the way that they're wrinkled up, even in his jacket or his shirt. I really like the way these words fall down and we kind of follow it. But this one's super awesome for the different shades. Even in here, you can see like that he's standing backwards, and it's obviously that the lights are turned off in this hallway, but they're on in the kitchen. Same with the little houses. You're able to see the sides of the house. That's why I liked this part really well. How dark it is over here to kind of show that it's back more and that this is coming forward. So overall, just the different value added to it. Yeah, that one's a super good one. All right. My first shape book. I chose School's First Day of School, also still has the price tag. Okay, illustrations are made out of simple shapes, and the simplicity adds to being able to read character expression. All right, so honestly, like even just looking at the front page or the cover page, you're able to see that everything is just made out of really simple shapes. Even the little cars, like they don't even have little windows or anything like that. The school is all made out of squares and boxes. Even the people are made out of really simple shapes. So let's look through here. Okay. Here's some more of the houses. Okay. Let's see if I can find that page I was talking about. Again, really simple shapes. Okay, here's one of my examples. Okay, so just in the way that we're expressing facial expression, like using facial expressions, you're able to tell what the character is feeling, while these ones are still smiling. There was another page on here. This one. So you can see that these kids are not happy while the other ones are all smiling and having a really good time. I think that the use of the shapes in this one, though, just overall added to the way that we understood the story. Yeah, did a super awesome job. All right, next one. This next one I picked 6 Crows. So even just by looking at the front cover, you can tell there's not necessarily a whole lot of depth in this picture. They're kind of all just one, the crows themselves are all just one color, and it's a pretty basic illustration. Let's just flip over to one. So all the crows stay the same shape. That one. Let me find the page that I was really wanting to show you guys. This one. So this whole illustration is just completely out of very basic shapes and doesn't necessarily use a whole lot of colors. I will say down here in what looks like to be wheat field, they use different shades of the same yellowish orange color to add the depth. So you can see that the lighter color is obviously coming forward and the darker color is in the back. Yeah. That one again. Again, like it's just, you know, a simple circle, rectangles, ovals. Overall, that one's a pretty good one. All right. Next for form. The first one I picked. So I will say, okay, form was a really confusing one for me just because I didn't really know, like, necessarily what to look for, and I felt like a lot of them showed form, so it was kind of hard to pick, I guess. So this one, I decided that form was shown in the depth of the objects. Without some of that form, the message wouldn't come across as clear. So this is like a fractions kind of type book, evaluating the size of stuff. So let's see if we can find the picture. So like this one, because of the color that we're using, we added form to the glasses. Okay. The watermelon, you're able to see the form in the shadow. So obviously, you know, just adding a little depth to the picture. Again, with that watermelon. Adding depth and just this, you know, just adding instead of drawing it flat, we added the sides on to make it, you know, kind of stand out three-dimensionally. Sweet. Next, for form, another one of my favorites, I picked David Gets in Trouble. So this one originally I thought maybe to use for lines, just because in all of the pictures, they're outlined in black, which really makes those lines like stand out to you. This one I just decided those to do for form because the shapes overall were adding depth with color. This was one that I really liked. So the pot, if we wouldn't have colored in darker here, the form of the object wouldn't have been as clear, I don't think. Same with different things, just adding in texture with color over here to the glass. Making the sides of the desk darker. Yeah, this is one of my favorite books. I guess I say that about most of them. So, yeah, it's a pretty good book, though. Does a good job with, you know, adding the shapes in the side of making these darker so it seems like it's coming out more. All right, next up, texture. All right, first one, my school's a zoo. So even from the cover, we have a lot of texture. You can see that that one. So overall, this one just had a whole lot of texture in all of the pictures. First off, in the beginning, it's super, like the giraffe, what is that, the mane? How much texture is added to it. Moving on to just, and the illustrations are so awesome in this whole book. How much texture we have in the fur. The orangutan down here. Up here. A yak. The texture even like in his forehead, that he's obviously like surprised and squinches, what is that called? Squeezing his forehead together. Let's see what else. The lion. Yeah, overall that one's just super good with adding the texture in. Without that texture though, I don't think that the story would honestly be the same, because you know how we just, illustrations overall just add to the effect of the story in itself. So without all that texture, I think it would kind of change the whole, how we read it, essentially. Well, not necessarily how we read it, but how we looked at it. Next up. All right, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. This one was super cool, and I just wanted, there was one picture that I really wanted to show because the texture was really awesome in it. And it was of this, the stick house. Ooh, I guess you can't really see it in the lighting. Yeah, I thought that one was super awesome, just in the way that we use shades and depth to create the texture of the wood. Yeah, I really like the way that this author did the drawings and the pictures in here. Another way, look at all that texture and that's just from using different colors. The white stands out on that darker background. See lots of texture throughout this whole story. All the texture that's added into that burger by using different colors, like making the pickles look shiny and the cheese look melty. I always thought it was kind of interesting just how like the different lines could provide different textures, and just in how harsh you like make your lines. Yeah, that one did a really good job. All right, last category is space. I kind of had a hard time finding books for this one that I thought, you know, really went with it. So this first one I picked though is One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Let's see if I can find like what I was thinking about. Okay. Okay, so like this one, the way that the picture carries onto the next page using the same space, so we kind of get not necessarily positive, negative, because it's not really making another picture out of negative space, but it is using that whole page, and it kind of incorporates, just like how we go off here, it incorporates the words into the picture without using those. Or if it wasn't white, it would make it a little different, essentially. So by leaving it white, we're kind of adding to it the way that these come down in here. Oh, this is what I was talking about. So like the cloud, how it's made out of the white on the paper. This one. Also, again here, the clouds are made from the white on the paper. This one also uses lines. We also see it here, so we're using squiggly lines to create depth of water. Lines up here to create the texture, creating the depth on the animals. I guess they're fish. I guess or first page has it as well. Creating that positive, negative, using lines again. All right. Last but definitely not least, I chose the Color Monster for my last space. This one overall uses space to enhance the illustration. Positive and negative space is shown in a sense that we always leave the background white. Let's check it out. This is one of the best books for emotion. I really enjoy this one. Okay, so just in the way that we're leaving lots of space, she's coming along, we see this. This is one of my favorite pages for that idea. So if we added, I feel like if the author would have added like a textured background, it would have made this a completely different picture. Again, here we left the background white, so it all is on there. I really enjoy the illustration, like the way they illustrated this. It looks like it was definitely like a collage. You see it again here. Again on this page. That one's a good one. It's all that we're leaving, you know, the background white. Yeah. This one as well. So yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching my video.